Maybe Simon, then you want to a little bit introduce yourself, since you're here, relationship expert, and it would be nice to hear about you. And maybe I just now shortly mention that we're doing now this webinars about wellness and personal development and health, and now about relationships. I will try to do till the end of December so far, on Sunday, as we're doing right now. And on the Zoom especially, I want that people feel encouraged in the end to also talk and ask questions that they have, so keep it more interactive and personal.
Thank you so much for organizing this. Yeah, I'm a former monk. I used to live as a monk for 3 years, and then soon after I came back to Germany, and I thought about how to share whatever I had learned with others. And I was always kind of interested in relationships. So then after some time, I started working first by myself as a relationship coach, and then I started to work as a relationship coach for a company in America, which I've been doing for 2 years, which allowed me to spend many hours coaching people. And also what I'm doing right now is I'm training and mentoring other relationship coaches. And what I'm really focusing on is like helping people to have a fulfilling experience in their relationship life by really removing some emotional blocks, understanding the underlying issues, and really establishing healthy communication. And yeah, it's a very rewarding thing to do. Especially what I really like to do is working with couples, because if couples come and the marriage is not working and you can help them, it's very rewarding to see relationships working again and giving people a happy experience. So a few words about myself, and yeah, please go ahead, ask me any questions.
Yes, let's start with the first one that I found quite many people having it. So one couple has quite some differences in their life choices. Let's say the children, the place to live, and the interests, and they often have like conflicts, not finding this balance between do they want children or no, do they want to live in one place or another.
Like once you're already in a relationship and you know it's a very committed relationship, and then you discover that you have different life visions, maybe different values, and you know, different ideas of how to raise children, then one very important thing to consider is that a lot, obviously, you know, we need to find a compromise, but if that can happen, depends a lot on the emotional connection between the couple. So if they have a very good connection with each other, if they're able to open their hearts to each other, if they're able to communicate their feelings and really be open to each other, then it's much easier to find a compromise. And then it's also usually easier for one person to kind of like step down with their point of view and accommodate the other person. But when there's already some tension, when there's already some friction going on, then it becomes very hard to even agree on like very small things. And then what happens is that people stay very much on a mental platform. You know, they think about, oh, maybe we should go here, or maybe this is the right school, this is the right place to be, and it just goes on a very mental platform without allowing really their hearts to come in and really work together as a team and really try to understand what brought them together in the first place, you know, because there are definitely lessons they want to learn with each other. I mean, this is like a nutshell of what they need to understand. So first, really take an inventory of how their relationship is right now in terms of their emotional connection, in terms of, you know, are they revealing their minds to each other? And then, you know, once you have that foundation, it becomes much easier to then think about all of these other aspects in a relationship. It's very easy to be attracted to someone, and it's very easy to kind of fall in love. It just happens. And then once that is done, after sometimes, of course, you know, like the chemicals go away, and then suddenly we are faced with the other person. And then what happens is we suddenly confronted with the reality that this relationship is not just about what I can get from it, but it's about understanding certain lessons and also being confronted with my inner shadow. So the other person becomes like a mirror for all the shortcomings I have. So if I'm very disturbed, that means you know, there's something within myself. So similar with the emotional connection, in the beginning it's easy, it's natural, it flows, but then after some time it becomes hard, because then we are confronted with all kinds of inner blocks or limiting beliefs that we might have. You know, maybe I don't feel good enough, I fear of being rejected. All of these things come suddenly up, and they sometimes create a wall or block. Also, what happens a lot when I coach people is that they have unresolved conflicts. They carry on for a long time. I was coaching a couple, they're married for 30 years, and they had unresolved issues from 10, 15 years back, 3 years back. And we had to kind of like go through them and really go in a process of forgiveness, to kind of let them move forward in the relationship. Because if you are, if you don't have like a clean feeling towards your partner, you know, if you're still carrying resentment or negativity, or you haven't forgiven them for something that happened, then that emotional connection becomes very hard. And many times what couples need is like a support system or someone who guides them to kind of bring this to the surface, so they can deal with that and overcome that and work on that and then move forward. There was also one question. She's basically saying she likes to go out for walks and it's something she really enjoys, and her partner is really not into it. So then again, when it comes, again, you know, you want to understand, like, was this always like this? Or in the beginning, when the relationship started, maybe he was up for it, and then after some time it became more difficult because maybe he doesn't like it so much. But again, if the foundation is strong, if the you know, emotional connection is there, if, you know, love languages are aligned and a good understanding is there, then what usually helps is kind of like understanding, how can I make this going for a walk attractive to my partner? You know, it's like, you know, because sometimes it becomes this like, oh, let's go for a walk. No, I don't really want to, you know. But, you know, because, you know, for your partner, maybe this like going for a walk brings up something like a bad experience or a boring time or something. So it's important to really speak with your boyfriend about how to make this attractive for him. You know, maybe you go to some exciting place, or in a totally new town or a new area, and, you know, find a compromise like that. But important is that there is communication where you work together as a team, you know, and it's not like trying to convince each other about something, you know. This is important.
As you really, Simon mentioned, is communication. This is the best tip for solving any usual problem, to communicate and to tell how we feel and what we really want, what are our desires as well, that we can also do certain things, that I spend time for you and you spend time for me. We try to compromise, because that's why I asked you, Simon, that question, that what to do when the interests and different choices of life are different. When you communicate, you try to compromise. And there is this win nice method that they say, it's not that you lose or the other person loses, it's that both win. So you choose certain choice that you both win in the way that you feel satisfied. So that it's not that, oh, I suffer doing something, so I never do, or I just do for you and I feel suffering. So in the way that you feel confident and you're expressing what you feel, but then you also feel happy to do for your other person that you love. It's not that you're doing because you're forced to do, but because you love to do something with the person you love, and then you're a happy one, you make each other happy. One more question, which is came up quite recently from a few people, so maybe you could also a bit expand on that. It was abuse that makes you, of course, anxious and tensed and leading to stress and depression slowly, step by step. So how, and that was, as far as I remember, it was already in either marriage or this quite long time already relationship. So how much would you consider going for allowing to go towards that verbal abuse, and how would you suggest to stop this, that in which means basically to not allow anymore to continue that or to leave the person?
Now you open the topic. I mean, like in our company, since I mean, it's a very good question. It's a very good question, but it's a very complex topic, because I'll try to summarize it. What we've also noticed in our company since the lockdown, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, it all went really, high up like anything. So so like your first question, how much should I tolerate abuse? Like, you should not tolerate. So there's no question about that. Now, but how do you deal with that in such a situation? First of all, it's important to understand like the degree of what is happening. For example, are you living together with a narcissist where the emotional, verbal abuse, gaslighting, where all of this stuff is going on? Gaslighting kind of means to, make the person doubt themselves, question their reality, to present lies as facts, all this kind of stuff. It has become very common. So we want to differentiate between something that occurred, because, it was just a very intense and heated situation, or is it like a pattern and part of a person? Okay. So is it like the first time this happened, or it happens and the other person is also able to see it, reflect on that, and willing to work on it? Or is it a situation where the other person has no like insight into this whatsoever, doesn't admit their faults, about this abuse? And the other important thing to consider is whether this abuse puts one of the involved people into a dangerous situation. Do you feel fear, shame, guilt? Do you feel controlled? So this is really something that needs to be looked at from case to case. But abuse should never be tolerated, and such a person being in such a situation should immediately try to reach out, to a person who has a very mature understanding about this and can offer help. So this is not something to be taken lightly, especially like, I mean, verbal abuse can obviously also be, like, lashing out to someone, bad language and all of this, but we really need to understand from case to case what is going on. So maybe you can clarify it or ask a more specific question.
One case was that the verbal abuse, in the way that the partner, as I understood, the man was in a way abusing the girl, because always putting her down in the way like, oh, you're not good in this, or you do this wrong, kind of in the way of blaming or criticizing. So not like, I mean, basically emotionally always hurting and putting the girl down. So, and that emotional, of course, affects the well-being of the girl. And that's something, as I understood, it is the character of the man also. It's not that does it intentionally for the reason to hurt, but just as maybe, I wouldn't say it was narcissist person, but just simply more maybe self-centered. So always put the problem on the other person.
Okay. So in that case, this person, this I mean, first of all, you really want to make an attempt to solve the situation. Okay, so and that means, like, getting a third person involved. Best would be a person that both feel comfortable with, and then this needs to be really addressed, and really the man in this situation needs to develop some empathy and some understanding of what's happening here and what kind of impact that has on the other person. If there's no insight, like if there's no empathy, if the person really is not able to see the impact, the negative impact that it has, if the person is not willing to work on themselves, if they're just not accepting it, they're not even willing to put in the work, and this woman in this relationship feels constantly like being put down, then this is very toxic. Then this is a situation where, again, this is really something that this person should discuss with a qualified person, like really understanding the case properly. But this is not something that should just be tolerated. Whatever belief system you have, no one wants you to tolerate any kind of abusive behavior. So actions need to be taken as soon as possible. A third person needs to be involved. And if this does not help, then this person should really consider whether this relationship is something that has any healthy future. This might sound now very direct, but it's something to be taken seriously, because in one sense, verbal or emotional or psychological abuse is even more serious than physical abuse, because it's very subtle and it can really deeply mess up a person, and this is not something to be taken lightly. So again, whoever asked this question, they should really reach out to a professional person and really present their case, and then do the required steps.
Exactly, I very agree that don't let this verbal abuse to lead you further until it becomes to physical abuse, or until you break down by being by being depressed already, because you always push down, so your just self-esteem is broken and you just
Right.
burn out with that. Exactly. Thank you. And I really like this, that take the third person as objectively to also help the couple as well, because then you cannot really go on the same level, because you just need someone to interfere and advise in that way.
Right, exactly.
And question, how to convince a partner to be more communicative and be more frankly in a relation?
If you want honest communication, you need to have trust. So, and trust is a very sensitive thing in a relationship that, is usually built up over time. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, the other person is not interested, but they might experience some blocks, that don't allow them to speak honestly and to reveal their mind. And maybe they also don't, like, there's so many things that could play out into this, like maybe the environment is not proper. Maybe they have never learned to honestly communicate because, in their upbringing, it was never a part of it. So the main thing here is also, like, if you're committed in a relationship, you can work on anything. If you're both committed and you're both like, hey, we have differences, we have challenges, but we're both committed to the relationship, then you can overcome basically any issue. So, but you were saying you're, like, I think I heard you were saying you're not with that person anymore. So it might also be that,
Yeah.
She or he was not so invested in the relationship, and therefore you were just not on the same page. That's a very common thing, that our vision for the relationship, the values that are important to us, and the relationship that we have in our mind is not matching that of our partner. One thing you can do, again, to establish such a communication is by really making a first step yourself first, so like getting yourself maybe in a little vulnerable space, and you open yourself and being honest and opening yourself more, and then really trying through communication to understand how you can make it happen. Also, like, hey, I noticed this, we're not able, like, I wish we would have this kind of more honest and trustworthy communication. How can we make it happen?
Question, Simon, if you saw, how can I more confident be with my partner when we are with a long distance? I sometimes angry when I need to hug or something more, and he doesn't understand me, or he does not want to communicate sometimes.
The main thing is, again, to have a communication that is based on coming from a place of love. Okay, so like Eva said, it's like really like, hey, I know we can't see each other right now, but I just wanted you to know that I feel so loved from you, when I receive a hug from you, and it also relates to the love language, acts of service, physical touch, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation. He might just have a very different love language as well. So he struggles to understand why that could be important. For example, me and my wife, we have different love languages. And she's also, she comes from Italy, I'm from Germany. She's really a hug person. I'm not so much. So I also had to understand. And when I went to Italy for the first time, I could really understand that, physical touch is really part of their culture. So it's also, discussing love languages and understanding this.
I really like that you mentioned this love language because Gary Chapman, right? He wrote the book Five Love Languages. So he really, if someone doesn't know, you could still have a look at the book or even just videos online. It's really nice to learn more about different love languages because each of us, we have different, it's either act of service, either the encouragement words or physical touch, different five ones, and we all respond to different that love language, and usually the one we have we like to do for the other, but can be totally different for the other one, and that's why we miscommunicate. So it's very different, and that's why many problems can arise from that. So it's very nice to see. You can even do the test, I think, online for free to discover your own love language if you're still not sure which one is that.
When it comes to communication, time is very important. So like, what is the situation right now? It's like, okay, maybe he or she just came from work or had a long day and, is very tired, and you just want to discuss, I don't know, the love languages. So then you might find your partner not being so enthusiastic about it. So it really depends like a lot about what is the time, the circumstance, the environment in which you are, and also like understanding that they just might not be up to talk about it right now. And that's absolutely fine. So, you might want to talk about something, but your partner might not want to. And then kind of like, then it's, unless it's like really urgent, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, no one paid our bills the last 3 months. We need to talk about this. And your partner's like, no, I don't want to talk about it, unless it's not really urgent or, something came up that needs to be discussed right now because it's important for the well-being of everyone and the relationship, then, it can also be nice to wait and also understand, how can I bring my partner in a comfortable situation? For example, let's say your boyfriend, you want to discuss something with your boyfriend and he's usually not so enthusiastic to talk about it. Well, then maybe try to understand what is it that you could do that he feels very relaxed and very peaceful. Maybe you cook something nice for him, or maybe, like you do something he appreciates, and then he feels relaxed, he feels loved. And then, you can start the discussion. So, so you can have all the communication tools, but you still need to understand, is this the right time, the right circumstance, the right place? And what is my motivation? Is it all about me, or am I trying to come from a place of selfless love to create something beautiful? Or is it just like, I'm unhappy, I want this, why is it not happening? Like, it's very important in a relationship that you are responsible for your own happiness entirely. Your partner is not responsible for your happiness. Two happy people make a happy relationship. Two unhappy people will make a miserable relationship. So this is also very important.
Sometimes they go to become happy, and they are in that present moment, they are quite suffering, or they have difficulties that they are feeling, certain emotional difficulties, and they expect that the relationship will make them happy, the other partner, and that causes even more suffering because you have high expectations, and when expectations are high, you get often disappointments, and then you blame another partner, your partner, for the problems, for this disappointment, and the root cause was within because you had this high expectation. And relating to this, that's a good time to find for the conversation, maybe as for the joke, but that's a real, to, I think from Torsenov doctor, I heard from a different classes, that talk with a man when first you feed him. So first make a good dinner or lunch, he's happy, and then you can talk. But in general, like don't, because sometimes we women, especially myself, I remember I would go and I would talk with my husband when he's tired. And he would not like to discuss, because if after the work he's tired, physically he does not want to discuss something difficult. He wants when he's more calm, relaxed, when he had a break after work, not when he just entered the house. So the time is when both of you feel quite a bit relaxed, you have this physical needs are met, and then you can peacefully sit down and discuss, not being in this moment of kind of stress and tiredness and exhaustion and fatigue. So
I want to add something to this since you just brought it up. Something that's different about the male and female brain is that a male brain usually works in such a way that they're basically like different modes. And when a man is more in his rational, logical area, he is in this area, and it's very hard for him to make a switch. For female brain, everything is all connected. So, therefore, the female brain allows, much easier multitasking and speaking about an emotional topic than about something else and planning. So they are blessed with this. But for men, it's usually, and also this is changing. It really depends how much masculine and feminine energy you have in your system, to be honest. But, if there's a lot of masculine energy, then it tends to be the rational, logical thinking. And, usually this is required for work. So, for example, let's say your partner comes home from work, then they want to relax. They don't want to think about problems because they did that all day long. They want to just relax, and that's sometimes when the conflict comes in, because like you want to connect and you want to have an exchange and you want to discuss certain things. And therefore I just came to my mind, because sometimes there can be a great disconnect, and like, why can we not talk about this right now? But it's quite an effort to go for the masculine energy from this rational, logical thing, then jumping into being very attentive and emotionally supportive, then maybe jumping back again. It's too much. And, the feminine energy facilitates all of that because it's all connected. So, yeah.
For this connection, I don't know, did you take from Mark Gungar the video? He did one, if you know this, he's very nicely also describes the relationships and man and woman differences. So one of the videos by this Mark Gungar was very nice, how he even showed on the some example of brain, kind of just in a funny way, showing how woman exactly, the brain is connected, everything, each part of the thinking is connected, whereas man has the draws like work, home, and the big draw of nothingness. So when man just wants to be calm, peaceful, think about nothing and just switch off, whereas woman, she would be connected each area in her thinking, and that's why maybe she can talk about anything anytime, but man needs this specific time, I guess. So that's why, it's very differences of man and woman. And this Mark Gungor, if you're interested, you can find the video. It's on YouTube, very popular, and you would laugh for a really long time. He really, with a nice humor, explained that differences, and we can really understand how it works on us. I had one more question. Quite a few people were asking before about envy in relationships. So more like jealousy way, that the partner is jealous about each other, and there is this in a healthy still state, and when it leads to over being too much. So maybe you can a bit elaborate on how to help to the partner to become less jealous if the partner is showing too much signs of being jealous, in the way that even maybe controlling the person to not allow him to go to certain places or checking the messages.
When couples come to me like jealousy, or it's not related to that, but infidelity or emotional cheating, this and that. So, but let's speak about jealousy. So first of all, if I'm jealous, I want to understand, I want to get an awareness of what's going on here. Why am I jealous? I'm jealous because I'm insecure. Okay, I'm insecure. Where is that insecurity coming from? I'm jealous because I don't trust. Why is there not a foundation of trust? What happened? Did I have issues in the past where someone misused my trust? So jealousy, kind of like discovering that can be an opportunity to then do the inner work to let go, and this is the other thing. If jealousy becomes a very controlling thing, that can also mean we are too attached. But actually, a good relationship requires healthy detachment. And what I mean by that, and this is what I mean by that is that even if the relationship doesn't work out, like even if I'm like alone tomorrow, it's not like, obviously, this is, if you've been together for a long time, you're married, this is, obviously you're not going to be like, nothing happened, I'm going to party, unless you had a horrible marriage. But the point is, you want to be fine within yourself without the other person. So what I'm really trying to, the point I'm really trying to make here is that you need a certain amount of detachment, because you cannot control everything. And you don't want to control, you want to connect and not control. And so it should really be a lot of self-reflection when this comes up. Now, what if my partner has friends of the opposite sex and speaks a lot and talks and does things that disturb me? So there's room in a relationship to talk about that. Definitely, you want to understand, where are my boundaries. But if it's based on your insecurity, then it's a problem. If it's based on love, because you really care about the relationship, then the other person will also be able to hear. So for example, when you say, hey, your coworker, you're spending a lot of time, you're opening your hearts to each other, what do you think is going on there? And then you can also see how the other person reacts. Are they immediately like on the fence, and or they're like, oh, right, okay, yeah, you're telling me this. So there's room for communication about this.
What do you notice as the biggest difficult in relationship that people could find this kind of harmony, like in the way that either the character of the persons, the attitudes, the some choices that they made before marriage, or anything in general, what you see that is problematic and that you see as a solution, what can help the most to solve that problem, or in general the most of the problems that relationships bring?
Obviously, there are a few things, but I think the main issue is selfishness. Because we go in a relationship, most of us, and we think about what is in it for me. But relationship is really service to each other, and it's really also not something that just works by itself. Most people, they have their ideas about relationships from Hollywood. And this is not even a joke, but that's what we see. These romantic relationships and all of that. You don't see in a Hollywood movie how people are working hard on their relationship, in most movies at least. So like the first thing is like really understanding that it's about service. And then it's really understanding that it's like when you are in a serious relationship, then something happens which is connected to your individual, you could call it karma or destiny, but then all the lessons from this life and previous lives that are all connected to romantic relationships, they will all slowly start to come to the surface. And then if your mentality is, I just want to have a good time, then this becomes a problem. So you quit the relationship, you just go to someone else, and then the same thing will happen again until you finally commit and you work through it. Because love is not a feeling, but it's something that you kind of like receive by, building trust with each other, by investing the emotional connection, by really going through challenges together. And really becoming each other's best friend. So most of the time it's really like the wrong idea what all of this is about. But the amazing thing is, and the other thing is, like, you can decide at every moment what kind of relationship you want to have. You can decide, and this is a huge thing. Like, for example, something happens, I become disturbed, I feel emotions in myself. So now what most people do, they just let it out, or they go in silent war mode, or they, you know, do something. But that's your choice to hold on to it or to just let it go. You know, obviously, again, not abuse, you know, but I'm talking about like normal stuff, you know. Okay, he didn't bring down the rubbish today, or something happened, or she didn't do that, you know, like, okay, I'm just letting go, you know, I'm connecting with love. Or do you need to hold on to everything? So it's really so much of your own responsibility, and that's how you want to look at the relationship. What can I do? Like, what can I do to become part of the solution, to create a loving environment, to create an environment for growth, and to really also get some spiritual perspective. I think that relationships without a more spiritual perspective of like understanding that this is not just like to enjoy each other, but this is like something that has accumulated over many lifetimes that comes together now, is very essential, you know. And you can create such a beautiful relationship if you both, you know, at every moment make a choice for that. You know, when some problem comes up, it's like, hey, okay, stop here. Okay, so how can we make this work now? How can we walk through this? Because some people are just addicted to emotional fights or challenges or arguments. You know, some couples that they're like that, you know, because after some time your brain becomes conditioned in such a way that that's the normality, the reality for yourself. But you need to break through this, you know, because I mean, this is a whole nother topic, that we become addicted to emotions, you know, emotional experiences, and that we don't understand what healthy even means. You know, some couples, they become you know, insecure or fearful or confused when there's suddenly peace in the relationship, you know. So it's really like that. And it also takes educating, you know, keep educating yourself about it. And then you actually want to be in a space where you feel like you constantly receive from your partner, because you constantly give. So you have a very beautiful cycle. And one test to do that is you can really feel on what level is your relationship. You know, is it on a heart level where you really feel connected in your heart, where you can really open yourself to each other? You know, is it like on a level where it's just about, you know, my happiness and what I want and my enjoyment, so on a very low level? So there are many things, you know, to consider. But, you know, if I understand it's about serving each other, and really understanding that what I'm facing right now is not she or he, but I'm facing myself right now, then, you know, you can have a very beautiful transformation.
That's so nice, thank you. I really like this point of serving each other, because often we want to be served, because me is the center of universe, so let's serve me first, and then when I'm pleased, then I serve you. So then, and that comes a lot of problems out of this. So I really like this point, that in the way that in service does not mean being some servant. Service means just being kind, caring, giving. And then when you give with love, when you care with love, then naturally all this comes back to you. It's not that you do unlimitedly till the end of your life, but it naturally just comes, because it's reciprocation cycle. You give with love and you get back. So it's really very nice. And then problems really can reduce. I noticed in my own experience really that first few years was difficult, because I was expecting to get what I want. And when that didn't happen, we got a lot of problems. And afterwards, I a little bit transformed myself, became more maybe giving slowly, and then naturally it became more getting also, because I realized that it's not about me, but it's about us, and also about loving the partner, and then this love also manifests in different actions. So I really love this point. And I also have one more question, that a person is in relationship for already quite a few years, around 3 years together, and for that person is normal to want to share the problems at work, like the person, the partner, the lady is open to relationship, she's honest, and she wants to be, yeah, in this open relationship, to know like to know things when happening. And but the other partner, the man, does not want to share his problems at work, or even how much he earns or how much he has at the bank. And so the lady does not want to have the problem. The lady does not have the problem to share the information, but the partner, the man, he does. So she's wondering how much is it okay that he keeps this information as a secret, and just to himself, how much you kind of can be open to each other, and how much you kind of keep those secrets to your own.
This is really something she needs to understand for herself. Is it okay for you not to know? Or is it not okay? And if it's not okay, why is it not okay? Because is it just that, because you want to understand is more connected to it? Because is it like, why is he not sharing this with me? Does he have something to hide? Can I really trust him? If this is what's going on, then you want to bring this, into a conversation, but if it's just like, I share my stuff, so you should share your stuff, then it's not really going to be helpful. But if it like triggers you, because then it's like, he doesn't share something, what else is he not sharing? Does he have secrets? Can I trust him? If all of that is going on, then you need to bring this into the conversation, and then he will give you some kind of explanation of why he's not sharing it. For example, like, I don't share my financial situation with other people, and I share so many other things, but this is one thing I just don't share. And then you can accept that, or you can reject it, of course. That's then really your choice. But I think the main thing is to be honest about how that makes you feel, and just bring it into the conversation in a very empathetic and peaceful way, and really being honest and vulnerable at how that makes you feel, and then seeing his reaction, and taking it from there.
A question about anxiety after breaking up, and related to breaking up, sometimes when I get also certain questions, that it is on the border of breaking up of different problems, and what could you advise to keep as a criteria or as the feeling that it's time, that yes, it's a good, I mean, it's the right choice to break up, or how much to try to save the relationship, and when you feel that, okay, maybe it's just time to break up, and how to overcome this pain and this anxiety after breaking up, because obviously you think and you remember the person for a while.
Right. So that's a very nice question. It's also a question that, comes up a lot. So your first question, should I stay or should I break up? First of all, you want to ask yourself, did I give 100%? Because if you didn't, then you will keep asking yourself, was it the right decision? Did I really try everything? And so first of all, if it's a healthy relationship, give 100%. And there's a really nice video about this where Tony Robbins speaks to a man who wants to leave his wife, and he basically gives him the advice that, why don't you make an experiment? And he gives him a certain time frame, and you just give your wife all the attention and presence that you can. And it transformed their marriage, and they did not divorce or break up. So sometimes when you give 100%, you really give yourself into the relationship in a healthy way, you can really understand if this has potential or not. And if you have taken all the steps, you have given 100%, you've tried counseling, not just with any counselor, but someone who both of you are resonating with, and who you could feel could help you progress. Then you've taken all the steps, and you can really see that this relationship is causing you to get into a place of where you're not really yourself anymore, and you're losing your identity, and you're like, basically you see its negative impacts. It's not just, I'm not having a good time right now, I need some change, like usually, you know, that's not necessarily the best way to go about it. But if they really create challenges and you both can't really work through it, and the most important thing, the other person shows no signs of willingness to work through the challenges, you know, this is really important, because, and you've given 100%, and you can really see how this is like, you know, how you're basically you're not able to live a healthy life. I mean, you don't want to go that far, but you know, you want to really understand in which direction it's going. Then you might consider about a breakup, but I would always do this first. Do whatever you can. Then how to get over a breakup? I mean, you know, you really want to take some time to really look at the relationship, you know, what went well, what didn't go so well, you know, like you want to take time to really connect to that person, that relationship, and really digest and process what happened, you know, like rebound is, you know, just jumping into another relationship. What many people do is not a good idea, because then you will have so many challenges later in that new relationship. So really taking time, understanding um, why, you know, it didn't work out, what you can do and work on yourself, and really also, you know, maybe writing some letters that you don't send, where you just express your emotions, and just really working through it, and getting some help. And then once you're healed, and it will take some time, you know, like I mean, I've personally also an experience, and I've seen in others, when there's not enough time in between changing a relationship, will just lead to many problems, you know. So really give yourself some time, you know. Like I would say at least, you know, if you can, it's good to give yourself like half a year or so to just digest this, if it was a long relationship. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and then you will need to deal with the consequences, which is, you know, this relationship will carry over in the new one and cause problems, because you're still mentally not, you haven't digested it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. It's very nice. We discussed quite many questions. Like that, to keep the break between the relationships. If you do split and if you do break up, I mean, it's really as nice what you, Tony Robbins, said this in this video. I heard similar story, also inspirational story, with the same, I guess, example, just in different way, that give your 100%. And when you do this 100%, you know, at least you did what you could. And if that doesn't work, okay, then move on. But you really do your best instead of blaming and saying, well, there is no other way, and giving up quickly. And before even giving up, to ask again, either the third party, someone, either your family members, some of your friends, or some therapists, some psychologists, some coaches, someone who is in the area of relationship, or someone who knows you both, to advise you objectively. Because in that case, we see usually subjectively our side, why it doesn't work, and the other person sees his own side. But objectively, when someone sees you both, can advise you maybe what to improve, that you could both continue. So that third party is very also helpful before even separating. And if you do separate, at least keep the break, because usually we attract person who is similar to us. So if we break up because of certain reasons, that maybe also we had difficulties within ourselves, then we attract similar person, and the same problem in different way will come up again. And again, we're gonna blame someone. So it's better to work on yourself, take time to recover, to find this inner peace, to improve character, and then only go to the new relationship. More questions. When someone bring up our deepest wounds and we notice, is good, because you can heal, but is that person really good for us? Is healing something that happens naturally, or is it something that require a lot of inner research, and to which extent?
Like, I mean, healing doesn't just happen by itself. You know, like it's like, you know, it needs some understanding of what is going on, and you know, being aware of what you're actually trying to heal, and then also having the right tools to heal that, you know. And there's so many ways you could heal something, right? So if that comes up in a relationship, it can be a good sign, and here's why: because it means you're probably trying to connect on a deeper level, so some of that subconscious stuff, you know, comes up. And then important is that you don't expect your partner to deal with it, but you take care of it yourself. So, you know, for example, let's say fear of rejection comes up, or fear of abandonment, then, you know, it's not, you're not projecting this all on your partner, but you getting aware of it, and you start to do the work to heal this and to deal with this, right? So you kind of like, yeah, you find a person with who you can heal this. You look more into it, you get more information and knowledge and understanding. You find a healer, you find a coach, a therapist who can help you to work through this. But you want to make sure that you don't project your own triggers and fears on the other person, because that can harm the relationship.
Maybe Simon would like to just summarize and just give a few essential tips for any couple so they could improve their relationship.
I think there is so many things in there, but there's one thing that help wants to save a marriage, which is a very simple thing, which is that when something comes up, like a fight comes up, you know, it's happening, you know, it's happening, you know, just time out. Just time out, you know, like if you notice there's some anger, some negative emotions, don't talk. Like, don't talk any further. Like, it's not going to be helpful in any way. The best thing you can do is to take a time out, you know, go in another room, go outside. Even if your partner maybe is like frustrated, just leave it, you know. Like, obviously if they have a great fear of rejection or abandonment, you know, then you need to take that into consideration. But like, it's not going to lead anywhere, you know. And any discussion that is around like, you always do like this, and I did this last week, and now you're doing this, is not leading anywhere. So you really want to understand, are we coming here from a place of love and positivity to create something, to establish a mood of service, or am I just throwing my negativity at my partner, or just telling them about my problems or why I don't like them or stuff like that, you know, because it's not leading anywhere. So if you find yourself getting into an argument or heated situation, time out, you know, and that should be communicated before, because otherwise, you know, if you like, if you go out to your partner and they become upset and you just leave and you say, well, I heard this from a relationship coach, you should discuss this before. Okay, so your partner is not like, what's going on here, but you should really understand that this is a very powerful thing to do, although it's very simple. And really, when you look at the relationship, just look at yourself. What can I do to improve this relationship? What can I do to grow more, to become a better husband, wife, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is? And not to the extent that it becomes unhealthy or toxic for you, of course, you know. But also, and another thing which we haven't addressed so much is really make sure you are a happy person as well. You know, understand, what do I need to do every day so I can fill myself with positivity, joy, love, and good qualities. You know, have some kind of practice, you know, different things that you do that make you balanced. Okay, so take full responsibility for how you feel and that you are a happy person. And then with that mindset and mood, you go into the relationship and in connecting with each other.
Thank you. I really love it. It's very nice and useful to everyone, and I hope that people can benefit and take it into their mind before problems come. And in general, on to maintain the relationship for a long time, you really need to work on yourself. So exactly what you say, to look at yourself rather to the other person first, because everything comes from us first, and the way we communicate with a partner, it always can reflect us basically. So if we are impatient and screaming, the partner can scream back, and that's a really nice one. That, yeah, take a break and moment to, before shouting or being angry or disappointed, just, yeah, leave and take a moment to just calm down, and then Even sometimes it's even better for just next day to discuss the problem when you come down from all the emotions, from being more rational rather than emotional, and then communicate more objectively, seeing what happened, how happened, and what can improve to solve that problem rather than being emotionally and looking from our subjective side. And yes, I guess also just to remember that to always first give and then expect to get, and be tolerant, because we are different people usually. So just to remember to appreciate our differences and to learn how to work with them so we can improve rather than always have conflicts. If you have any questions, Simon, how they could also approach you if they need, which way is the best way to approach you when they have personal
So
questions?
thank you first of all for organizing this. It's really nice that you are doing that and facilitating that and inviting different speakers. I think it's really, really nice. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, they can just reach out to me on Facebook and write me a message.